Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our look ahead at Succession Season 3. This show makes me I don't know if this says something bad about me that this show makes me as happy as I am. This is going to be one of the most delicate shows we ever cover at the channel just because I love quoting things and we cannot quote pretty much anything on this channel in fear of demonetization.
Yeah, Succession is a show that, Matt and I have really enjoyed for a long time. And we've never covered it here at the channel because we weren't sure if anyone else was going to be watching along with us. Because it seems like for me, every time I tell people, like my dad or my mom or my brothers, be like, you got to watch Succession. It is so good. And it would be completely up
Yes.
their alley, like nobody's listening. And I don't know why, because this show is really good. I mean, yeah, you have to have a bit of a darker sense of humor for this show, but if you do, this show is for you.
I was even talking to one of my friends last night about this, and he has HBO, and he likes dark humor. I was like, why haven't you watched this show?
Wait a second, Jason doesn't watch this show?
No!
Okay, he's someone that has like probably the darkest humor, one of our best friends, Jason. And again, like this is a show that he would absolutely love.
Yeah.
So we put it out there on the channel to just ask you guys, is anybody watching this or would anybody be interested in this? And surprisingly, there was a whole bunch of you that are also watching it. So we were like, okay, it's time. We're going to
Yeah.
cover it.
Yeah, we have a little ways to go until it comes back. It's on October 17th. So you know what? If you haven't watched it yet, you can go and check it out and enjoy it and be horrified by it and all of the other emotions that come along the way. But we're gonna set the stage for the new season, talk about some of the stuff that is in the season 3 trailer. But before we do, why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to be our number one boy, our number one woman? I was thinking going into this video, how am I going to work number one boy into this? And there you have it. Hit that subscribe button and also check out our Instagram at Matt and Jess TV for some fun stuff we're doing away from the channel.
Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a wrap up of how season 2 ended. So if you're not looking for spoilers,
Yeah.
but if you're okay, then here we go. Okay, so the ending of season 2 was pretty intense. I mean, everything started to go sideways with the big boat scandal that happened, their cruise scandal for the company. And
Yeah.
Logan was looking for someone to take the fall for it. And because back in season 1, Kendall had accidentally killed somebody and Logan's been covering for him, last season, we saw a very obedient Kendall. Anything that Logan wanted, he did for him. So when we ended up at the finale and Logan said, listen, they're going to need somebody big to take the fall for this. And I'm going to ask you to do it, Kendall. And Kendall was like, okay, all right, I guess I'll do this.
Yeah.
And then Kendall asked that one question that I think Logan really blew, which was, did I ever really have a chance at having the top seat when you retired? Were you ever really considering me? And his dad basically said no and was just like, listen, you have a lot of good qualities, but you do not have that killer instinct, and that is why you were not really being considered.
Kendall Roy, I'm throwing this out here. Top 5 character on all of TV. He is so messed up. He is so unusual. But the end of season 2, where he is basically like, all right, screw you, screw everybody. You think I'm weak. You think that I don't have that killer instinct. I'm going to go in front of a press conference and I am going to bury you in front of everybody. And I think a lot about Logan's reaction to that. And I don't think Logan would ever admit to this, but I think in some weird way he was kind of proud of his son.
Oh, he was absolutely proud. You saw his face sort of drain of all his blood as Kendall threw his dad under the bus. And then there was that last moment where you saw Logan kind of have a little half smile, just a little bit of a smirk where he's just like, there he is. There's my son. Okay, game on.
I think he loves the game. I think it's this really sets the stage, I think, for what is gonna be a really, really good, interesting battle. It's one where apparently the beast is going to be unleashed, as Logan said at the end of the trailer.
Yeah, and I was kind of like wondering if this accidental murder that had happened in season 1 was going to end up coming up in season 3. And I know that in season 2, Logan really found a way to kind of, I guess, smooth that over with the family and all of that. That was so awkward where he brought Kendall to that family's house.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But he has seemingly smoothed it over. But I feel like Logan can pull the lid off this pot anytime he wants.
Yeah.
But Kendall just, I think when you're in kind of that sad, desperate state and you just don't have anything to lose, you don't have anything to lose. So why not? The thing that Kendall, I think, is making a bit of a mistake with that we saw in the trailer, where it's kind of like, okay, I want my dad to go down for this. I want to have immunity with this. I also want the company to be okay on the other side of this. It's just like, okay, what else do you want? Do you want a diamond crown at the end of this? Like, I don't understand. Like, you can't have everything.
I would enjoy seeing Kendall in a diamond crown just as much as I enjoyed Kendall's rap performance, which to me, that is the cringiest 2 minutes in quite possibly the history of television, watching Kendall Roy rap. But this, I really do think that he's setting himself up to fail here and thinking, okay, I can find a way to get off just completely scot-free. Nothing is going to happen to me. But I think sort of the chess match that's going to go along with this is going to be so compelling, because I think there is a chance that both Kendall and Logan just completely implode themselves this season, and then the rest of the Roy family goes in there and picks up the scraps.
Yeah, and at the beginning of this trailer, it seems like Logan's children have all abandoned him. They have scattered to the wind, which I completely understand, because after what Kendall did, Logan is really toxic.
Yeah, and it's just like, you were terrible to Shiv pretty much all of season 2.
He's terrible to everybody.
He promised her, he's like, you got this, you're gonna be the person in charge, and then you just watch this slow, like, deterioration of this, where it's so clear that he's just lying, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And I'm not saying I feel bad for Shiv, because Shiv is terrible, but at the same time, it's just like, man, that sucks.
I just think it's very strange that none of his children realize that Logan is going to retire when he's dead. He's never going to stop. He is never going to be just that guy who sits around his beach house and drinks all day and watches TV. You're going to have to get him out of there when he's leaving in a casket. He's not going to hand it down. Connor, who also was in the trailer kind of throwing all his siblings under the bus, being like, I'm the one. I was like, what? Now you're the one? What is going on?
Yeah, Connor's also incredibly weird. He'll have these moments where he'll just be like, I'm doing my own thing, guys, and he'll be like separate from a lot of and then he'll just like come running back into the room and being like, pick me.
Yeah, I guess his political career is over.
Connor's political career was as successful as Kendall's rap career.
Right.
I'm just throwing that out there. And I don't know what it's like to be, a descendant of Logan Roy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do.
Thank goodness.
I know, really. Like, I'm guessing that you get so drunk on the idea of, like, having all of this power that you don't even see the forest or the trees. Like, there's this moment where, at the trailer, Logan is like, take care of me, Pinky, to Shiv, and Shiv is just like there, and I want to be like, Shiv, just get away from him. You know better, but it's just sort of like, I'm guessing it's just that idea of, if I do this, where will it get me, that is, like, intoxicating.
Yeah, and that's part of the brilliance of this show, is that it's not just people who don't really have a lot of a relationship that are being cutthroat. This is his children that he's able to sort of manipulate with, the smell of power, but also remember, we're family. I'm your dad. Like, we have something that, our bond is stronger than just a business. And I think that gets really complicated for the kids, even though the kids want the power and they want whatever they want. his acceptance and his love badly. The few times that you've actually seen Logan play that card with his children, like they eat it up like Skittles.
There's so much manipulation with this show in general. I mean, especially with the Roy descendants, the kids, but even with some of like the characters that are sort of just connected to this in some way or another, I love Tom and Greg. I'm gonna throw that. I could watch a whole show of Tom and Greg and whatever it is that they actually do, and I'm so curious where they're gonna sort of lie with a lot of this. Like they're clearly worried, and I mean, Greg is. I think Greg just tells people what they want to hear a lot of the time, and I want. I don't know if I really want inside Greg's head, but I want more content about Greg.
Yeah, Tom and Greg are worried, but I mean, what Logan was saying last season was true that giving up a Tom or a Greg is not big enough for what the scandal is for this company. And if the company wants to be able to go forward, they have to offer up somebody way bigger than Greg and Tom. I actually think Greg and Tom are going to end up being okay.
I think they will. Yeah, I think their irrelevance is like their biggest strength at this point. It's exactly like you sort of said. And like Tom, I don't know why, because once again, Tom is just not likable. I would not want to hang out with Tom for 2 seconds. But like, I was so invested in his strange marriage with Shiv and everything that was going on with the two of them, and even that scene together that they had at the end of last season that was really heartbreaking, where he was just like, I just want to be with my wife. I don't want to have someone else coming in on my wedding night.
Well, then you should have made that decision before when you went to that bachelor party and did what you did. I understand where Tom is coming from, that he, on the wedding night is told that he's going to be in an open marriage. But at the same time, like, you completely cheated on Shiv in every awful way possible right before the marriage happened. You're still in a relationship. You both have dirty hands.
You both suck. Like, that is the great thing about this. I'm invested in this relationship where both of them are doing terrible things. There's, there's the infidelity part of it. There's the, I'm bringing somebody else in and having an open marriage part of it. And yet, I don't know if I want to see them together, but I want to see them still around each other, because there's just something compelling, because at least there's enough of a blind spot with Tom that, Shiv will still try to fight for him, like, to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, there was a moment in the trailer where they were sitting in the car together and Shiv was kind of trying to be away from him as much as possible. And he's like reaching across and trying to like stroke her hair. And she's just like looking at him like their relationship is in trouble. But the relationship that is not in trouble, that I really like, and I don't know if anyone else, I may be on an island on this, but I really like the Roman and Jerry relationship. I did not expect to like it as much as I did when it kind of started to kick off, and I was like, oh, this is very strange. What am I watching? But as it's like kept evolving, this relationship makes complete sense.
I'm coming around on it slowly. Slowly is the operative word here, because at first, like that first sort of sequence that we had with the two of them, it seemed like Jerry just seemed like repulsed at first by the whole thing, but the more that I've seen the two of them, the more I'm like, oh, she actually enjoys this too. And so it's sort of become this thing where it's like, okay, this relationship is so strange and so weird to watch, but at the same time, if they're clearly enjoying it, who am I to stand in their way?
They're just very similar in so many ways, and there is the relationship is just so strange, but because they really do have a lot of similarities, and I can see sort of a bit of why Roman would be interested in Jerry for multiple reasons. One, she's also very powerful, and two, he really kind of doesn't have any relationship with his mom, and he has no relationship really with his dad. Yeah. And we have seen those very few times that his dad has given him some sort of a compliment where he has really eaten that up, that I can see where he has a struggle with people who are older than him coming down on him for stuff. That's kind of where he thinks he should lie, even though he knows that he is part of the Roy family. It is very complicated, and that is why I like it. There are lots of relationships on TV, but there is very few that have this many layers to it, like Roman and Jerry.
Here's where I just sort of land with Roman in general is that there will be one day I will wake up and I will be like, I want there to be a scene in season 3 where Roman is on like some TV interview and he just gets like completely owned and it's hilarious and I just see him like shamed to oblivion. And then there's another day where I'm like, oh, you know what, Roman, I actually understand where you're coming from more than even some of your other siblings. So I don't know if I'm supposed to like Roman. I don't know if I'm supposed to just be weirded out and rooting against him. He is so complicated, like every other person on this show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anyone on the show that I really like or that I'm really
I know.
rooting for, which is what makes this show kind of interesting. It kind of reminds me of The Wire in that way. There wasn't anyone that I was like, oh, this person's kind of the hero of the story. No, no one was really that. Everyone was kind of awful, but you're like, good cast and good show. And that's the same here, is that everyone is really unlikable, but I'm Team Roman. I know you're Team Kendall, but Roman is really one of the most complicated characters that I've seen on TV. He really, I know he comes across very sort of surface, just like he just brushes everything off, but you get these, glimpses into who he really is, especially with Jerry, how deep and dark those cuts are on him.
You were right that I am Team Kindle. However,
Roman.
Greg,
Oh,
Greg. I am really actually Team Greg.
oh my God.
Like that is my. I will see myself out now. But Greg, I don't know why. I love Greg. Greg is.
I can't with Greg. Greg reminds me too much of Gabe from The Office. And every time I see him, I actually just want to call him Gabe from The Office.
Greg, you are better than Gabe. Do not listen to this. You will someday take over Waystar Royco.
Oh, no.
That'll be the Succession spinoff.
Oh, my goodness.
Listen, Kendall and Greg, they will have their moments in the sun. No, but really, regardless of who you are rooting for, even if you are Team Shiv at this point, this is a show, even if you're Team Logan, like, that's the most terrifying possibility. But, like, Succession is so much fun. It's so demented. It makes us all, I don't know, it makes me feel really, I don't know, kind of messed up for enjoying it as much as I do.
It is really an enjoyable show. If you're not watching and you were just kind of like, I wonder what this show is about, and checked out our video, take a look at the show. It is only 2 seasons in. It is not starting until October 17th. There is lots of time to catch up on this show, to watch with us. We will be here after each episode with a review for you guys. So hit that subscribe button and stick around with us.
Thanks you guys so much. Check out our videos as well for Yellowstone, for Dexter New Blood. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up this fall. I mean, the Blacklist is going to be back as well. So take a look at all of that. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.